The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The government is eyeing to make a vaccination mandatory in the country to increase inoculations nationwide. Greg Gregorio with the details.
Government is now mulling making vaccination mandatory. Vaccine Star Carlito Gavez said they are now recommending this to the president.
We have to implore yung massive vaccination. We are recommending it, and also the private sector is also with us.
The move has been gaining support among Filipinos.
May layo tayo sa mga sakit nga para maproteksyonan ng mga katawan natin.
Mas okay siya dahil sa chances na maging immune ka sa sakit na yan is getting higher.
Importante yon, sir, kasi para masigurado natin na ligtas yung kami na mga nagsiserve sa kanila.
Even the health department, which pushed back in the past, is now supporting mandatory vaccination.
Kailangan we will reach that certain protection across the population, no? Yung tinatawag na herd immunity o yung population protection. Dito po pumasok yung pag-uusap tungkol sa mandatory vaccination.
But should it be made mandatory, the DOH clarifies it will only be for vulnerable senior citizens and those working in face-to-face settings. But the mandate will require a law. That's why the Justice Department is now studying how to make possible. Vaccination remains slow outside NCR, which has inoculated 88% of its population. Regions like Barm, Bicol, Socsargen, Mimaropa, and the Zamboanga Peninsula are lagging behind.
Dapat ready yung ating mga areas to receive some of the vaccine. Now we are giving targets para maka-achieve ng at least 1 million to 1.5 million per day.
The DOH plans to conduct a 3-day national vaccination program by the end of the month.
We are going to expand vaccination sites. Maglalagay po tayo sa mga department stores, sa mga common areas. Maglalagay din po tayo sa iba't ibang mga lugar kung saan patuloy na pumupunta ang mga tao. We are also enjoining and we have already coordinated with the different medical societies para matulungan po tayo dito.
Operational guidelines are being ironed out, while LGUs, private sector, and NGOs have also been met for the planned mass vaccination. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion, supports the proposal to make vaccination mandatory. In an interview with the chiefs, Concepcion notes that a vaccine hesitancy remains high in provinces. That's why Concepcion insisted that mandatory vaccination is needed in these areas to increase protection and hasten economic recovery.
Now that we have a lot of vaccines in the country and arriving, and all Moderna vaccines will be arriving by December, we will have problems with expiry, because with this volume, you have to have a higher vaccine jabbing rate, no? And that's why we launched basically Vax to the Max. No?
Concepcion also revealed that the private sector is eyeing to use over 3 million unused vaccine donations as booster shots for their employees. He said that these vaccines may be administered as booster shots by early next year.
Secretary Galvez said that the 3 million doses that we were donating to the government can now go back to us, no? And we can donate it to any LGU of our choice, and we can ask that LGU to inoculate our own people with a booster shot. No?
Should that push through, it will be at a time when willingness to get vaccinated is quite high. In a September SWS survey, willingness rate has jumped to 64% from just 55% in June. Among those open to vaccination, 35% have already received at least one dose. The 23% say they will surely get themselves vaccinated, while 6% will probably get the shot. 19% admit to still being uncertain. 4% say they will probably not get the shot, while 14% have outright said no. Metro Manila's shift to Alert Level 2 is expected to yield around 7.2 billion pesos in additional economic output. According to NEDA, NCR will gain 3.6 billion pesos in economic output and provide 16,000 jobs on a weekly basis. Over the last 3 weeks, the capital region gained some 17.4 billion pesos and 72,000 jobs. Metro Manila will remain under alert level 2 until November 21st. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. You've just seen the winning moment of Maureen Montagne at Miss Globe 2021 Coronation Night. Maureen Montagne is Miss Globe 2021. Montagne bested 40 other candidates and was crowned in Tirana, Albania earlier today. She is the second Filipina Miss Globe title holder after Ann Collis in 2015. Montagne also won People's Choice, Miss Bikini, and the pageant's head-to-head challenge. Now, here are some of the biggest stories we're following across the world. Ethiopian rebels are threatening to move on the capital, Addis Ababa, prompting the Ethiopian army to call on former troops to rejoin and fight them. Reuters reports that the war has now killed thousands and displaced 2 million people. For its part, the UN Security Council is calling for talks on a lasting ceasefire in the country and for parties to refrain from inflammatory hate speech to incite violence and divisiveness.
They further call to put an end to hostilities and to negotiate a lasting ceasefire and for the creation of conditions for the start of an inclusive Ethiopian national dialogue to resolve the crisis and create the foundation for peace and stability throughout the country.
A Chinese spy has been convicted in the United States for plotting to steal trade secrets from several aviation and aerospace companies. The spy Yan Jun-shu is the first Chinese operative extradited to the United States for trial. He was arrested in Belgium in 2018 on conspiracy and attempt to commit economic espionage charges. Now, with his conviction, Yang Jun could face up to 60 years in prison and pay over $5 million in fine. Meanwhile, the death of a woman sparked the debate on abortion in Poland. Activists say she could still be alive if it were not for a near total ban on terminating pregnancies. Back in January, thousands of Poles marched against a government ruling that made abortion due to fetal defects unconstitutional. However, the Polish government says the ruling should not be blamed for her death, but rather an error by doctors. The hospital where the woman died has yet to release a statement on the incident. Ben and Ben's Paolo Benjamin paid tribute to a college student who passed away in a tragic fire accident this week. Nick Garcia with the story.
Melanie, kung nasaan ka man ngayon, pipiliin ka namin mahalin, alalahanin, at ingatan lahat ng mga naiwan mo dito, araw-araw.
Ben and Ben's Paolo paid tribute to a fan who died in a Quezon City fire last November 2. Paolo attended the wake of Melanie, a 21-year-old graduating student who rushed to their burning house to retrieve her laptop. But she got trapped and met her end. The band thanked Melanie for her bravery and compassion. They called her Liwanag, not only as a Ben and Ben fan, but also as a beacon of light toward her family and fellow students. Melanie's friend Elise also shared videos of Paolo's performance during the wake. Paolo opened with Dahilan, an ode to the band's departed friend.
Kung ang buhay ay biyaheng balikan, bakit papunta pa
The strict version of their breakup song Leaves, meanwhile, gave a newfound message of hope.
And in the end, everything we have makes it worth the fight.
Nick Garcia, We Are One News.
For as long.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. Pfizer has developed an antiviral pill which supposedly cuts the risk of severe COVID-19 by up to 89%. More tourist destinations in the country have started reopening just in time for the holiday season. And Chet says college students who will participate in the face-to-face classes must first be enrolled in PhilHealth. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 10:45 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.